You're such an asshole.
Oh, sure. Now it goes off. This is a good request. This is a good question. Dear Clary, I would like for you to do a video response on how to go about the conversation some of your audience members might eventually end up having with their girlfriends with regards to not wanting to get legally married, but who would still like for them to be their long term partner that they could potentially raise a family together with. Of course, this is assuming she passes the red green flags test as such as having good finances, not having baggage and other man's kids, etc., and having your shit together as well. If she simply has to have it in writing, legal marriage, and she gives you no other option, then of course you must respect her decision and part ways. But there may be some women or men out there who all they've ever known is you have to go to college or you have to get married and have never been exposed to any alternatives. And I'll tell you right now, uh, for those people who do exist, right? I mean, this is we live and breathe this shit, so it's secondhand nature to us. Normies are good formies. God, they're so slow. They take forever. And I'll get into more specifically what I'm going to recommend how you approach it. Uh, but explain it. It's real simple. You love me or you don't. That's it. The marriage is not consequent. It's not needed. And then also explain it's a tremendous legal risk. It is not an acceptable legal risk or a financial risk to me. You're either here on your own volition because you love me so much, you don't care about the marriage certificate because you want to be with me, or you don't. That's it. And I think women deserve a little bit more explanation. Like, look at the divorce detail, or your there's not going to be a lack of examples within your extended family of divorce or your friends. Like, it's not happening. There's a 1 in 245% chance of it not working. It's a legal risk I'm not willing to take. And on top of it, you could, which you should be doing anyway, is like, I have a trust and an estate set up that I have no assets if you get divorced. So if you're going to marry me, if you want to be with me, you better expect no money. You better, because you like me. But I think explaining to the normies, look, this is a ridiculous risk. There's no reason. That at least isn't like, oh, fuck marriage and fuck women, people with legs and walking around, adult teenager, whatever. You're giving them, no, there's tremendous risk on my end that I'm simply not willing to take. And it's completely unnecessary and it's outdated and it's stupid. That is not going to happen. No, it's too risky. In other words, explain to her why marriage is obsolete. It's just an unnecessary risk. So that's how I'd handle with the normies. If she simply has a depicted and have never been exposed to any alternatives, right? Explain the alternatives. Show them like, no, this is how my relationship's going to be. In a previous video, you mentioned that if she tries to rebuttal the idea, you mean rebuke? She tries to rebuttal the idea that true love doesn't necessarily require it to be in writing. Then she has other motives. Yes. It's so simple. And here's what I'd like to install in your young men's brains or old men's brains. There is no, you don't have to defend this. This is not, oh, she disagrees with me. Let me try and explain to her. No, this is the test. This is the test. You either love me or you don't. That's it. You know, and if it's more important the money and the signing and the document, okay, fine. But writing, she has other motives. So maybe touch back on that concept or other rebuttals she or he might have to not wanting to get married. So you're trying to validate these rebuttals. When I'm trying to explain to you, say, no, it's a policy. I would love to have a woman in my life and be committed and have a family. The hell if I'm signing a marriage contract. Touch back, but I don't want you to get married. For example, as soon as my girlfriend and I started getting serious, I told her that I wasn't going to get married. Good for you. Good for you. I mean, and not that you're like, I'm not getting married. That you were honest with her. But I would still like a long-term partner, potentially have kids. And if I were to purchase a home, that it would be 100% my name. I live in a state that is a non-common law state. She was then concerned about not having any assets. All right, well, she's being honest, perhaps unknowingly. It's about money. I'm not. Here's the thing. I think she liked you. I don't think she hated you. I don't think she was malicious. She just put, I need money. Like it's a common, well, are you supposed to support me? No. Not with the 40% tax rate y'all keep voting to raise other people's children. If you girls didn't vote Democrat, there'd be a lot more men who could afford a one-income family home who could support you. Where you, oh my God, I love helping other people's children that aren't minesies. Oh my God, fuck any potential guy I might marry. I need help complete random stranger criminal fucking men. I mean, fucking like they're having sex and spitting out kids. I need to help out deadbeat dads and their illegitimate children. Not going to help my husband have the disposable income to raise our own children. I'm a Democrat, but I'm not kidding. Your average person is not that couth about economics and wouldn't surprise. Well, what kind of assets would I have? Geez, I don't know, Miss Strong and Independent Feminist. You're going to bring your own fucking money to this table, and then you can leave. It seems extreme, my very libertarian, voluntaristic, voluntary. You're here because you want to be. I'm here because I want to be. And then if we don't, we can leave. Goodbye. And I bring my money and you bring your money. And then when we go away, I take my money and you take your money. And you don't get my money, I don't get your money. If you made $1 billion and I only made 50,000, there's my 50,000. It is naturally ingrained, I'd have to say, because that's the way it's always been, that you're supposed to support your wife, even though you're supposed to also support a welfare state, a bunch of single moms with kids that ain't yours, because it makes her feel good the way she votes. It just, there's another argument. It's not in the budget. Sorry, but I vote Republican. I don't care that you vote Republican. Enough people voted Democrat that these are the new rules. Oh, you voted Republican? Well, that will change my 40% tax rate. She then concerned about not having any assets in her name, which I simply responded that she would invest in the property herself. So that argument isn't anywhere near close to being valid. Here's another one. I didn't put this in my notes, but here's another one. You say, like, we will say it's like having a prenup, but you can also have an estate. Like do some estate planning. Well, here are my assets and they're in a trust. And if you're worried about losing your assets, well, you can put your assets in a trust. And we remove finances and assets completely from one another. And it's whether you want to be with me or not. That's it. Well, and maybe for the women listening who might have tuned in, ladies, you don't have a choice anymore. You don't get to be supported by men anymore. You voted against that. You've told men against that. Whether you meant it deep down inside or not is irrelevant, because the policies and the tax rates have already been implemented. You, for generations now, you've said you want to be independent. You've created a tax code that makes it that way, or through a welfare state and all that. And we got to find, so do you, by the way. We can't pay for both of your little systems. Men cannot afford you having your cake and eating it too. You said you want to be independent. Now you're independent. You can, well, why do we get married? Why do you want to need marriage? Sickness, health, rich or poor? What the fuck are you talking about? You got go make your money. Go. It's like Father Goose. My concern is for the children. He says, well, why you go concern yourself with them? I want to be strong and independent. Well, why don't you go be strong and independent? And by the way, ladies, in case you're wondering, I actually am for you being independent. I think everyone should be independent. People who are dependent suck. They're incredibly boring people. They're unevolved. They suffer no rigor, no challenges, no strife. They're not galvanized. They're incredibly boring people. I think everyone should be independent. So that argument isn't anywhere near close to being valid. No, she's I don't think it's malice, if you know the point I'm trying to make. She's worried about money. It's what it is. Aren't you going to pay for me? I don't think it's like she realizes that says turn you into a slave. No. You have your answer. I'm sorry, you have your answer. Again, thanks for all the time and effort you and Rich Cooper put into this topic. I hope you never run into a mountain lion in South Dakota trail that is hungry for someone who owns a Snoopy Jim t-shirt, anger problems, and shitty South Dakota internet. Now, before I go on generally on policy, in defense of your girlfriend, keep in mind, I don't think she's trying to like be a gold digger here. I think it's just natural. So now I don't know if you guys are still together or not, but this would be a perfect opportunity to sit down. Like, look, this whole 1950s bullshit that you made fun of, not you, but people made fun of and pissed on it. But then deep down inside, maybe your girl still wanted where I'm taking care of you. And that's not happening. That's not in the real world anymore. That's in the past, a previous generation. Doesn't mean I don't love you and doesn't mean we can't be together, but we are not signing a marriage contract. You will be here whether you want to or not. And I will not be kept here if you treat me poorly or get fat or whatever number of things women do to make a marriage insufferable. I will leave, and you can leave, and so that means we're both here under our own volition, and that teeth in both of our clauses ensures the other person complies and doesn't become a prick. And a lot of this, look, if they're madly in love with you, they're like, fine, I don't care. They'll be okay with it. All right. So let's go. Like you do video response on how to go about the conversation with someone of your audience members might eventually have, ending up with their girlfriends with regard to not wanting to get legally married, but who would still like for them to become a long-term partner they could potentially raise a family together with. Okay, so let me go to my notes here. First step, and this is what I did. It was known very clearly among my friends and social circles, which many of the women I sourced from, that I was not going to get married. I was very much against marriage, right? And so when I got the current GF that I do now, there was no confusion because she was in the same group of people. Everyone knows. I'm not saying you. It's like you immediately walk up to someone and say, "By the way, I'm a libertarian. Do you want to talk about central banking?" Don't be that guy. Don't say, "Oh, by the way, I'm against marriage." You wait for it to come up in conversation. And at least within your friends groups, which you are going to meet some people you might date, there it is. If the girl you meet is not through your friends group, say it's online dating or something, well, you're going to have to tell her. All right. And I would wait upon the point in time where, who knows how many dates, but let's say 3 dates. You find out, wow, this might go somewhere. Before it does, you say, look, I gotta have an honest conversation about it because I like you a lot. I think you're really cool. Well, okay. That's bad. Don't do that. It's so fucking see, kid. I like you a lot and I like to spend time with you. You don't have to say that. Matter of fact, don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. We didn't make these rules. You are on, let's say, the third date. The third date has gone great. You really like this girl. Right? It's not required to tell her this. All you gotta do is the next day or two say, "Hey, before this gets any little more serious, we gotta have the talk so I don't waste your time." And that's a good. You're an honorable man if you do that. So many men don't do that. Say, look, I'm not getting married ever. I want to have a woman in my life. I want to raise a family. I want kind of like a traditional marriage. I'm just not signing the legal document. I will never be legally married. I'm not going. And by the way, that includes ceremonies and religious ones, because if you portray in some states, if you portray yourself as husband and wife, that negates the no common law marriage. But you have to tell the girl, if she didn't know through hanging out with you as friends, I am not getting married. It's nothing against love. It's nothing against, I do want a family. I want a woman in my life. I want a committed relationship. But the legal risks of marriage are just, and then you can invoke your past experience. Oh, my dad's been divorced. My uncle's been divorced. My buddy's been divorced. I've been divorced. I'm not getting married. Not getting married. That informs her. All right. I would even record it because girls have an amazing way of forgetting what you said, especially about important things. They can remember the most minorest of things. Don't you remember when you ordered the cannoli? I was like, what the fuck? You can't remember the conversation though where you said. So I recommend you film it. and just say, look, no joke, not getting married ever. So if you need the wedding day, you need that, but just so I know we're not wasting your time. And that I'd say is 101. That's kind of 101 type of stuff. Down the road, if it looks like, hey, by the way, I got some other requirements. Like this is where you'd kind of almost have to admit that you like and you're sizing up for a commitment. Like you get fat, I'm out. Here's what I expect, and I lead, you follow. You're taking care of your own finances. Those are all discussions they have later, perhaps, but make it very clear as early as politely possible. Like after you bang her. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not really. Not really. I mean, don't. Here's what I wouldn't do. Don't mention that right after you have sex. Maybe go on a date or two more so you cover your tracks. Say, look, I'm not. But the point still being, you got to bring it up with her relatively early as possible before she starts catching feels for you. So there's that. Also, kind of alluded to it before. Whether you're getting married or not is not enough. There's other conversations you should have. This might be its own video, but for the sake of brevity, like I said before, if we're getting committed, you're not getting fat. Like you legit have to say, you're that height, this is the weight limit, and not an ounce more. If you go above that, I walk. Or I get a mistress or something on the side. Right? You have to, and this, you should record this. You should record this. Finance is very important. Look, sorry, tax rates are such. No, you got to work 50-50. You're going to pay half the expenses. I'm going to pay half the expenses. All right. We got our separate finances. All right. Again, you're only here because you love me. That's it. I don't want to ask for your money. You're not going to ask for my money. And what would also help with that is if you already have a trust set up. Now, this depends on, do you have a home? What's your current asset situation look like? Not, a 19-year-old kid is, well, you don't got any assets to be taken. You can get alimony or child support, so be careful. But if you already have an estate set up, I mean, I guess technically you could never tell her. I prefer to be honest. Like, look, I got an estate. I got a trust. I have no real assets in my name. You can't get me. All right. So just so you know, there's no money. And then when you come into that, like, yeah, I already have a trust set up. Like, no, there's just so in case you're wondering, if there's any problems with our divorce is going to be real easy. Our separation is going to be real easy because there's nothing to take. Other things like, yeah, we're not living in a common law state. It's not happening. So these hard conversations, like I lead, you follow. You're not walking off into the street when we're holding hands. You're not, if you want to, and we don't have to hold hands or whatever. When we're dancing, I lead, you follow. All right. When it just inevitably there's a final arbiter, assuming you're not a dick. Okay. Assuming you got your shit together and you would take her input. But at the end of the day, if someone's got to make the decision, it's me. Another one, I should have added this. There's no arguing. There's no arguing and there's no crying. You're an adult. You will tell me without crying what is wrong. And there better be something wrong and not just your feelings. I know I sound like I'm an insufferable dick right now, but it's just, ask any married man out there. Like, and you're like, and I've had these conversations. There's no crying. That's what children do. You're adults. Adults don't cry. What's wrong? Be honest. So yeah, those, in addition to the I'm not getting married, there's a couple other hard conversations you'd have to have with her. And when you set these, she'll either pass or fail. And that's kind of the point I made before. That is the test. You're asking, well, if I say I'm not getting married for legal and financial risk reasons, there you go. You're not inviting an argument. You're making a declarative statement. And she gives you a rebuttal. Her rebuttal does not need nor deserve a rebuttal. There's no rebuttal. I'm trying to expand your mind. Well, what if she says this or my parents say that? You simply repeat yourself. Say, I don't know if you heard me. There's too much legal risk. We don't need marriage to fall in love and have a family. And you're either going to be with me because you love me or not. That's it. There's no marriage. That's it. And if the girl says, well, I just feel I'm like, okay. And maybe you give an explanation. Do you understand the legal risks and the financial risks? And, we can have love and where you're going to come hang out with me, regardless of how much or how little money I have, because you like me. Do you understand that? Yeah, but I just think as a sign of commitment, okay. And you know what? You don't, Rich Cooper, you like Rich Cooper. He's got a great video called You Don't Argue with Women. You know why? Generally, not always. They're coming from an emotional viewpoint. There's no arguing with emotions. Just feel. Feels aren't empirical. They're not real. And you say, okay, cool. We agree to disagree. Then we're probably not, the relationship ends. I'm sorry. I liked you. It was cool. But yeah, we're not going to, I think you should go find a guy who's willing to sign that piece of paper because I'm not going to do it. And that's it. There's really no, but I don't, maybe I'm just old and curmudgeonly. No, it's kind of over. The discussion is ended. I wish you the best. I'll come by and pick up my toothbrush if I happen to left it over there, and it's over. You have your answer. Look, if the girl can't understand love, right? Dude, I love you so much. I don't care. I just want to be with you. That's how the marriage is going to succeed, or the relationship is going to succeed. But if and my mom, it doesn't matter what the ulterior motive is. She's ulteriorly, is that the right word? She is motivated by an ulterior motive that isn't loving you. Doesn't matter what it is. She wants money. She wants to get lazy. She wants to coast after she wants to be able to take it for half. Maybe she is a gold. It doesn't matter. You're not the main reason. That's it. She doesn't trust you either, right? I think this is the best way to find a good quality woman in your life. Like, we're not getting married. You're voluntarily being here. If you don't like that, okay, that's not the ride or die girl I need. That's the test. And then you're saying, well, what are the rebuttals? The rebuttals don't matter. By that time, you already have your answer and you move on. I mean, if you want to engage for intellectual reasons, maybe you're bored, you want to practice your debate skills with emotional people. You could reiterate, maybe they don't understand the concept. No, that legal contract is outdated. I'll explain again that you should want to hang out with me regardless of how much money I have. I already have an estate, so technically I don't have any money. You're not going to get anything, and by the way, given the tax rates, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to pay half the bills. Now, when I die, generally women live a little bit longer. I might leave you in the will. But no, there's no marriage. No, not going to happen. And if there still are, well, it's just a sign to get just a piece. I mean, the shallow arguments you get. Well, if it's just a piece of paper, why not get married then? That you hear them for the conservative right. Just walk away. It's over. But you don't argue with them. That's it. They didn't listen to you, and you have your answer. So that's it. All right, let's get to super chats real quick. Then I'm going to go on with rule 0. I'm not rule 0. Masculine Geek. So subscribe. I'm going to be going on in 8 minutes. Alex Patino, truck driving Latino, agent in the field. It's simple. Just tell her no. No means yeah. It's really that simple. Like, I'm never getting married. That's it. That's all you have to do. And then the ball is in their court. Boo Boo, our Filipino agent in the field for 125 pesos. Gals have higher chances of marrying a bear today than any guy. Laugh out loud. Also, Happy New Year, Boomer. Thanks, Boo Boo. Hope you're doing well. Boo Boo again for 125. I've decided to never marry thanks to my parents. They still married though, but boy, they are miserable and hate each other for them. Right. Right. Look, here's another thing. I should have linked to it below. If women are having an issue understanding the risk men face, go get them the book of Numbers, Analyzing the ROI in the Pursuit of Women. They have to read the whole thing. Just read the part on marriage and what % of people are happy. What percentage of marriages actually end till death do you part and are happy? Ken Rose, $2. He says, hi. Hello, Ken. And Colin K, $5. Highly recommend the No Kids Ring Chat. Oh, yeah, you got to talk about kids too. Like, do you want them or not? That's a pretty important one. Do it before you get exclusive. I also revisit the topic once a year so she can bail if her mind change. Yeah, you do have to babysit. You do got to baby. I mean, I've seen men do that too. I kind of didn't want kids. Now I do. Well, you told her you didn't, and now you do. Well, that's on you. You're not having kids. All right. Link below. The dad you never had. Shit, your father should have told you, but didn't. And then if you guys need to have a copy of the book of numbers, Analyzing the ROI in the Pursuit of Women, have it handy. Say here and highlight the marriage chapter. Here you go. That's why I'm not getting married. I don't like this guy. There's a girl who's naked on the cover. There's your answer. All right. See you guys later, Toodles.